what I'm doing, I've got one of these cheap Chinese diesel heaters, and I want to use a sand battery to recover some of the heat that's lost out of the exhaust. So I've got 2 lengths of this 3-metre exhaust pipe. So I'm going to be 6 in total, plus the little extension that comes with the actual heater. Now I've got to get a way of getting this through the side of that barrel so that it's not rubbing, because this stuff's not particularly thick. So what I've come up with is a bit of, I think it's 28mm copper pipe, and we're going to cut this and then split it so that we can fold the edges over, create some sort of flange like a sleeve, and then on this side we'll slot it so that it can be, we can put a Jubilee clip on it and it'll just hold this pipe, stop it moving around. And then what I do is we'll put some exhaust paste around it. That's not to keep gases in, because that's going to be a solid pipe. It's just keep the sand in, but it's not going to be affected by temperature, because this is going to get hot, obviously. So we're going to start off with cutting this down and then slotting it. So there's a couple of things we need to do to this flange. The first one is we want to, this side, this is going to clamp onto the actual exhaust pipe. Now this is obviously a lot wider than this pipe, so if we try and clamp it, it's not going to squish down. So we're going to divide this one into 4. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not too concerned how accurate this is, but we'll put a line to give us 4 sections, and then what that'll do, that'll just give us a little bit of, or it'll remove some of the material to allow us to tighten this up. Let me draw our lines there. Right, so we're just going to slot that with the Dremel, easy. The next side, or the other side, I want to split it and then bend them over so it forms like a flange, something to rivet to that barrel so it doesn't move. Now 4 won't be enough, or these tabs will be too thick. It will split as you try and fold them backwards. So I found that actually 5 seems to work pretty well. But the easiest way to divide this into 5, it doesn't have to be precise. I'm just going to lay a ruler next to this bit of kitchen towel, and it's roughly 17mm. So the kitchen towel's to stop this from sliding, and all I'm going to do is roll it to 17, mark it, pull it back to 0, roll it to 17, mark it, back to 0, and there we go. We're more or less there. One of them's a little bit larger, but it's good enough for what we need. And then just mark that on the outside. There we go, and then we can draw our lines straight down. This needs to be a little bit more precise because we want it to fold. And then what we do is just get a Dremel, cut a slot in there, this side. We'll do the 4-sided bit first, and then we'll do the 5, because while this is going to get hot, while this is still warm, we'll then just bend these over. That's the slots done. This one we've got to be a little bit more precise with it. Right, then before that slows or cools down too much, see the way it's discoloured, just going to, same distance apart, bend them to 90 degrees. quite soft. There we go, and then I'm going to just hammer these down, flatten them out a little bit so that when I rivet them, it sits a bit nicer. This is a 32mm hole cutter, and I've brought it down. I don't want the pipe to be right on the top. I want some sand over the top of it. To make this easier to drill, I'm going to put it on this way, but it's actually going to live inside. But to make it easier to drill the holes, I'm going to mark it like this. I'll then drill one hole, and then just loosely put a rivet in there to hold it in place, and drill another one, same again, so that I know all my holes line up, and then I'll mark which one is top, so that when I come to put it on, I know exactly where the holes are and they should line up. Now if there's any adjustment to do, it's obviously a lot easier to do it when it's like this rather than when you're working from the back of it, especially when you do the bottom one. But that should all line up now, so it's good. I'm doing that all the way in case I need to jiggle it about. It's not for exhaust gases, because obviously it's a solid pipe, there's no joint in it. It's just to stop the sand from coming out, and obviously this is going to be the hottest pipe going in. this is as rough as it's going to be. But that's kind of the basic principle. I've got to dress these curves a little bit better because it's under a little bit of tension there. But that's all right, just needs a bit of a bend putting in here. But the next step, I think, is to start getting some sand, because I don't want all the weight of this to be altering the where that sits. So I'm going to get some sand, and then start filling it up. Then we'll make that join properly with some exhaust paste, and then start heating this up, because the sand's going to be wet. I can't get all the dry stuff, and we'll have to dry this out gradually. Run this for a few hours, I should imagine. But yep, that's basically the gist of it at the minute. That's sticking up at the moment. It's going to drop down so that any condensation can just run down and straight out through the wall, because the hole in the wall goes down as well. And then when this is finally done, we'll just put a Jubilee clip around there, like I've done here. I've just made that joint off with some exhaust paste, and I've connected it up. This is really just to test that it still works okay, and also the heat in the exhaust will help this exhaust paste cure off a lot quicker, because it's really cold at the moment. What I want to do is, there's a little bit of moisture in there, so I'm going to let this run. I might stick the lid on, leave it for half an hour, see how warm it gets in there. I'm not going to put it down tight, just in case there's any pressure build up, but just lay that on there. At the moment it's freezing cold, but that's the opposite to the way it's going to be connected. It's going to come in at the top and go out the bottom, because I suspect what's going to happen is going to be a lot of moisture in there, and then when I disconnect that, it should all come running down, which will also prove that our coil is going continually down and there isn't any low spots where the moisture or the condensation can gather. Once that's switched off, obviously it's all going to cool down. So this has only been going for about 10 minutes. This is warm, but see the condensation that's coming out of it. It seems to be settling right up the end there. But in here, if you can see that barrel, this whole barrel feels warm now, considering how it's 3 degrees. Oh, it's just below 3 degrees Celsius out here, but this actually feels warm. Yeah, it's toasty in there. Yeah, it's quite warm in there. You can hold on to the pipes. Obviously, the further you go down, not so much. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut this or disconnect this and see how much water runs out that pipe. So this is hot. Surprising. No, that's good. I wonder if it's because that's so hot it's not condensing until it gets to this last little bit here. But we'll let that cool down. I'll let it cool down and we'll have another look. So we're about 20 minutes later now. This is stone cold. Nothing's coming out, and it's all running downhill. It's just a bit sooty. It's a bit sooty in there. It's surprising, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know. But yeah, so there's no condensation coming out of this end, which is good. But there's plenty of it up the top there. That's kind of the bare bones of what we'll be doing. Flanges are in, the exhaust pipe's in, it's kind of bent to shape. It's a bit easier to manipulate when it's a little bit warmer, but it's probably not going to change too much from that. I think the next job is to start filling it up with sand and dry the sand out. Condensation wise, there's still stuff dripping out the top here. You can see that, probably just off camera. So I've got a couple of splashes there, but nothing's coming out the bottom here. but it's sootier. There's a lot more soot in there than there was before. Not that I noticed any before, but something worth keeping an eye on. Is it running a bit rich now because we've extended this exhaust? I don't know. But however, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Help me grow this channel. I'll see you on the next one. We'll be putting some sand in and trying to get some temperature measurements off that. See how well it's working, if it works at all. I'll see you on the next one.